Today's episode is going to be about loneliness. So I had a comment on one of my videos a little while ago about how is it that I deal with being by myself. So let me give you some context. Now I'm going to talk about my own personal experience, observations, and if I led a normal lifestyle, what is it that I would do, and maybe that would help you in your journey. It is Friday evening, and for most people, they are going to be finishing work, going out for a few beers, hanging out with a friend, or even going on date night. For me, I am in a hotel room in a place called Chester, and the hotel is called Crabwell Manor Hotel. I'll be in a hotel tomorrow, Holiday Inn in York, so I do move around quite a lot. It is Saturday night. I'm in the Holiday Inn. I made it after work, but I just wanted to point out that I have 4 lives. So I basically have my travel life, I have my home life, I have my boat life, and I have my family life back at home. But overall, I spend around 80% of the time by myself. But if this video helps just one person, then to me it's a successful video, because I know there's a lot of lonely people out there at the moment. I do see people hanging out by themselves quite a lot as somebody who travels all over the place. But we'll jump back to what I was recording yesterday. Now, I've had this type of lifestyle since 2010. As I record this, it's summer 2014. So I've been doing this type of stuff for 14 years. And it's very much kind of you're brushing shoulders with people. You're not really making that many friends. So although I've done this for a long time, I only have 3 friends from working for events, because, you know, tomorrow I'm going to be working with some random person who I'll probably never see again. And it's the same after that. I mean, sometimes you do bump into the same people from time to time, but it's very rare. Now, I do want to say that although I spend a lot of time by myself, it's very rare that I feel lonely. Now, I do have friends, so I do own a boat, and I do have a lot of friends over at the marina, because it's a yacht club that I belong to, and there's a lot of activities. So, for example, this weekend there's a regatta on, but since I've not worked for the last 6 weeks, I've really had to pick up some work, and this is the gig that came up. So here I am. I do have family back at home, so I do have my folks, my sister that I kind of speak to quite a lot, and I do have brothers that I don't really speak to very often, and they have their children. Now, the main reason I do this type of event work is because of the variety on there, and I'm not obligated to make any commitments for work. Typically between January and April, there's not really that much work, and before I owned the boat, I used to go abroad, so I've been all over the world. But typically I would fly out with my travel buddy who's got a real job, and he would be there for about 2 weeks, and then he'd fly home and I would continue my journey. As you can imagine, I spend a lot of time by myself, and typically when I do travel, I will stay in a hostel for 4 nights where I'll meet other people and we'll just go along together. And then for 3 nights, I'll stay in a very budget hotel where I know the Wi-Fi isn't going to work in the reception area, which means if I did want to meet people, then I'll just go off down to the reception. But typically where there's things to do and see, that's where tourists go. But it was when I was 29 years old, so 2016, I was in Jordan. After going to Sri Lanka for a month, I then flew to Jordan and I went to Petra. Now, I really wanted the best time possible to go to Petra, which is one of the wonders of the world. And as you're going along, it's like these canyons, but you're going along and like you see all the lines in the rocks and everything. It's quite interesting as you're going along. But as you're walking along, you come to the actual kind of I can't remember if it's the treasury or the monastery, but you're walking along and it's like a natural unveiling. So all you see is like the rocks opening, and then there it is, one of the wonders of the world. And I was just like, wow, this is absolutely fantastic. It's like such a magical place, you know, so unique, and I can see why it's one of the wonders of the world. And I'm just there, I'm just like, this is absolutely amazing. But I was not just by myself, I was alone, 29 years old, and I was alone for the very first time in my life. And it was just like, it's such a weird feeling, because it's nothing that I'd ever really experienced before, because I've always been busy, I've always been working for something, and I've always had friends and family around. So I leave Jordan. I ended up bumping into a couple who were like NGOs. So a dude was from America and a girl was from England. She was a nurse, he was some kind of civil engineer, and we crossed over into Israel via the West Bank together, and then we partied, and then I stayed in hostels, so partying, meeting people. I got a lot of friends in Israel as well, so just sofa surfing at theirs between the hostels and so on. But then I went to Cyprus. Now Cyprus, I went to by accident because I wanted to go to Egypt, and to fly from Tel Aviv to Cairo was going to be around £350, but to fly from Tel Aviv to Lanka was about £30. So I just thought, hey, I'll go. Now I ended up going there in about March time, so off season. April is when the low season starts, so basically I was 3 weeks in when the swimming pool centre opened. Water park, that's what it's called. So I was there third week in, that's when the water park opened, and for the 3 weeks there was no one around. So even, in the Iron Appa there was like 1 or 2 places open, and other than speaking to the girls from Pizza Hut there, I don't really talk to anyone, and that was perfectly fine. Just binge watched South Park, but not once did I feel lonely. There's several ways that I deal with being by myself. So a lot of the time is kind of making distractions. So this is where the YouTube channel kind of really started. Basically, I'd become single, not really had that much money, not really had much work on. I need my car fixing, so I started learning about the car and fixing it. And then I did my boat engine, I did fuel polishing, I did a video about how much the boat has cost, and a boat tour video. But so far I've had almost 150,000 views and 10,000 watch hours, so thanks for watching and thanks for being fans. But I love your comments, questions and feedback. It's been about a year since I've been single, so loneliness has definitely been something that's been on the radar, especially since my friends now who are the same age from school, a lot of them are married and children and so on. Now I don't want to get married and I don't want to have children, so I don't like children at all, and I have no interest in getting married either. It just seems like a very expensive day out, and of course the society norm is to have the 9 to 5 job and go get married and have children and all of that. Now I don't want to have that kind of way of life. I don't want to have children, don't want to get married. I just want to be as free as possible. I want to travel the world, I want to see things, I want to experience things, and that's basically what I want to do. That's not to say that I've given up. So obviously my circumstances is quite unique to a lot of people's, so to kind of meet a girl and then end up kind of going, hey, by the way, I'd never want to get married or have children. Obviously now there are a few more girls becoming that kind of way, where they're not interested in having kids. But my former lady friend, when we first got together, she wasn't too fussed about getting married, and she didn't really like kids either. But obviously as time has gone on, she's kind of started to change her mind. Now I've always liked girls in the kind of range of like between 20 and 30, and of course that's kind of like the prime age for starting a family for people. The average age now, by the way, in the UK for a first time buyer for a house is 34 years old, by the way. So of course that is delaying a lot of family process for a lot of people. I do like people watching, so I'm kind of always like interested in like what other people are up to. Now, I did a job recently in London. I managed to go and see Pete Tong live orchestra. If you ever see that, fantastic show, highly recommend it. But anyway, woke up the next day, had to break down a stand, too drunk to drive, so I ended up going into Nando's, ordered and everything, and I look up and it's 4 dudes by themselves at lunchtime, just eating the meals by themselves. So it's pretty obvious now that there's a lot of single, lonely, especially dudes, I think. It is a very much boys club, this channel, something about fixing cars and boats and so on. My audience is 99% dudes. A lot of what I do for work involves meeting lots of people, so just kind of having a little smile on your face and saying hi and learning people's names, it kind of goes a long way. But try not to isolate yourself as much, so keep the headphones out, don't look at your phone as much, take a bit of time just to speak to people. I mean, I wouldn't say go up and directly approach, but a few casual morning kind of thing, little things like that. When people start recognizing you and gets a bit more familiar with you, then you got more of a better chance of making friends that way. If I did plug into the matrix, let's say, and do a 9 to 5 job, one of the things I would actually do would be join a gym, but I would go for like a middle of the road gym to upper gym, one which has like classes, and I would join classes which are kind of a mixed kind of gender ones, things like the yogas and stuff like that. I would go to classes and I would make sure I'd stick to them. So for example, let's say yoga's on a Wednesday night, I would make sure that I would go there, because you will get the same people going in, and with familiarity you get to be a bit more friendly and you can kind of start building relations from there. I would also look at clubs. So if you write down 5 things that you're interested in and then start researching kind of local clubs, you can meet people with common interest in things for yourself. So for example, I don't live anywhere full time, so as you can see, I'm in a hotel room for the next 2 nights. Hopefully I'll get back to the boat this week, maybe not, but I know that my folks are going to need me to help out for the next few days on top of that. But anyway, I like dogs and I enjoy walking, so I volunteer to walk dogs at the Cardiff Rescue Hotel. So it's kind of it's quite rewarding, and they do a lot of events. You could also try something like Night College, where you go on do another course. A lot of the colleges, especially in the UK, are free to do. So for example, I was quite interested in doing a welding course recently, which was like a 7-week course. But you know, things like car maintenance, you know, there's a lot of different courses on there, especially short-term courses that you could jump on. It gives you the opportunity to meet different people that way. There's opportunities out there for all this type of different stuff. You just need to look for it. There's plenty of team sports out there where you get to like meet different people. So when I used to play ice hockey, I used to have quite a few friends on there. Obviously when I left the team and went off and done my own thing, I kind of lost contact with a lot of them. But I mean, I had a great times there. One of my favourite things to do, especially at the marina, is actually cook. So I'm quite good at cooking. I used to be a chef for 7 years. But for most people, you could take on, say, a cooking class. Again, you know, you will have common interest with other people in a similar situation as yourself. So you could look at that. My last video was all about what is it that I do for a living, my accident, lockdown and not being able to get any support, and 5 years of owning a boat. We did touch on it a little bit earlier about the type of content that I create. So I do a lot of documenting of the kind of projects that I've been working on. For example, fixing my car, which is held together with duct tape and hope. My boat takes a lot of maintenance, so if you do like those type of videos, then feel free to subscribe. I also do a lot of these type of videos where I answer people's questions. I enjoy people's comments, questions and feedback. If you'd like to share your experiences on the topic below, feel free to do so, because you might end up helping somebody else. But always be nice to people, because you never know that you could be the person who pushes that person off the edge without knowing it. So I'm going to wrap this up because I'm very tired, because I've been doing 2 12-hour shifts, and then I've been driving on top of that. So it's literally power naps, coffees and meal deals at the moment. But yeah, just let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you next time.